Hello, hello. Welcome to Module 6. Module 6 is our communication module, so it's called Communicating Effectively, and we are going to be talking about lots of different types of communication and how you can improve on those. So the first half, we are going to be talking about active listening. This is something that I've noticed in my in-person classes that some students struggle with, is giving the speaker their full attention, whether that's the professor or even other students. I'm finding that students are rather distracted when it comes to listening to others. So for our warm-up question today, posted in the announcements, if you could have an unlimited supply of one thing for the rest of your life, what would you pick? And I'm making the rule that you can't say money or wishes because that's like breaking the rules a little bit. So I think I would say like craft supplies or art supplies. And if I had to be specific with a supply, I think I would choose yarn, since I do knit all the time, and surprisingly enough, yarn can get very expensive. So that's what I would pick for my unlimited supply of one thing. Looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say. All right, so we are going to start our active listening section with this nice little infographic. I love a good infographic to organize information, make it a little bit easier to read, a little bit more interesting. So this has 10 active listening tips. So you can go ahead and if you want to pause the video and look through this, you can. Anticipate, consider, listen between the lines is like listening for meaning, being attentive, clarify, follow up, withhold judgment. I think that's one that is hard for me personally sometimes to do, as well as being patient. I like things to go quickly, and so it's hard for me to sometimes be patient if I'm listening to somebody else. Review, and then giving feedback. So take a minute and read the descriptions for each of these before we move on. All right, so I'm going to go through some more specific things that you can do to be a good, attentive, active listener. So the first step in active listening is preparing to listen. So before you have an important conversation, or maybe if you are going into class or something like that, remove anything that may distract you so that you can focus and give the other person your full attention. That would qualify for online classes as well. Turn your phone off, put it out of the room, something like that, so you can really pay attention to what you should be focusing on. So that's the detail here, the bullet points. Switch off your phone, turn off your instant messaging and email alerts, put your work away, close your meeting room door, and do what you can to make sure that you won't be interrupted. If you know that you won't be able to offer the other person your full attention, for example, if you're working on an urgent task, schedule a better time to speak. So that's more polite than trying to do two things at once and like halfway listen to them while you're working on something important. Also, do what you can to make the other person feel at ease. Use open body language and a friendly tone. Okay, so now we're getting into the actual act of active listening. So this means you are trying to understand the other person's whole message. Learn how to read people's body language and tone. Don't interrupt people or allow yourself to become distracted by your own thoughts or opinions. I think that can be difficult sometimes. Instead, focus completely on what the other person is saying. Nod or say okay occasionally to acknowledge that you're still listening. If you don't understand something, wait for the other person to finish what they're saying before you ask for clarification. Sometimes they'll end up answering your question before you even ask if you just wait and keep listening. Other times you might have to ask for clarification, and that's okay. Don't formulate a response until they have communicated their whole message, and avoid any judgment or criticism until it's your turn to speak. That's something that's difficult for me, is to not try to start formulating my response until somebody's done. I think this can happen especially in like debates or arguments, like you start trying to form what you're going to say next before the other person's even done. So you're not listening to them, you're just trying to think of what you're going to say next. Empathetic listening. When you demonstrate empathy, you recognize other people's emotions and you do what you can to understand their perspective. Put yourself in the other person's shoes and try to see things from their point of view. This doesn't mean that you have to agree with them or change your opinion, but trying to see something from other people's perspectives can really make them feel understood. Then summarize what they say in your own words to show them that you understand their perspective. Also, ask open questions to help them to articulate themselves fully. Don't fear moments of silence when you listen. Instead, embrace pauses as a way to give them time to finish their point. This is definitely something that I have had to work on, and being a teacher has helped me give people time and pause. So that is something that I've improved upon through my teaching career. So now we have a video about how to participate in active listening. So you can go ahead and pause this video and watch this one. The last part for this first section of our module is a listening skills test. So I have posted that in the assignment as one of the documents that I've uploaded. So you're going to take this listening self-assessment, total up your answers to find out how good you are at listening, and then post your score in the assignment. The listening self-assessment looks like this. It is a PDF. You can download it, so if you're able to either print it or sometimes some computers will let you mark on a downloaded PDF on the computer. You can go ahead and fill this out. If you don't have a way to mark on it, you might just want to write down what you check for each one of these, so then you can give yourself a score at the end. So you're choosing if you do this thing most of the time, frequently, occasionally, or almost never. So you have to read each of these. Some of them are statements, but they end with question marks. We'll ignore that. And then so you mark which of those is true for you. So you go through, it's 2 pages of those types of questions, and then it tells you how many points to give yourself for what you marked. So for each question you have to go through, give yourself a point, or whatever it is, 4 points, and then total them up. And at the end, your total score will tell you what type of listener you are. And so then you also have to kind of reflect on this, jot down your first thoughts concerning the results. Was it higher or lower than what you thought it would be? Were you about average where you thought? So this is interesting. You'll have to let me know where you scored compared to where you thought you were going to score.